Welcome to episode 3 of the Fight Night Forecast with Justin and James, where we highlight, cover, and recap all things boxing. How you doing, Justin?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
Good. Thanks.
So you might have noticed, we are running with a different name. New name, but same fire content. So keep tuning in, all right? Let's get into the show.
All right, Justin. So the fight night last night down in Jalisco, Mexico. What'd you think, man?
Man, I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was the card was good. Everything was great. Action-packed night. I really enjoyed it. Had me a little, a couple tacos for the Cinco de Mayo weekend, so it was all good with me.
Let's start with the undercard. Sparks and Galaz. That went the distance, but there was a little bit of controversy. It was a split decision. They gave it to Galaz, but a lot of people online are saying the Australian Sparks did enough to win it.
Yeah, that was Stevie's first fight after the disqualification with Montana Love a few months back, and so I think he was going in there looking to put on a big show. And he honestly, both fighters did well. I think that Stevie just kind of picked it up in the later half of the fight, and I mean, you know how it is, man. The judges see different things. So
Vostik got the stoppage in the 6th round, fresh out of retirement. Looked pretty good. It was scheduled for 10, but he ended it early. I'm excited to see what he does from here. 175 can get interesting.
Yeah, he's got hands of stone, man. He cut his opponent up over the eyebrow, and there was an interesting thing they posted on the Matchroom Boxing DAZN Instagram, where they had actually got blood on the camera from him hitting him so hard. So, man, Vosik's got some hands of steel, man. That's for sure. He's definitely going to be a top contender once again, I believe, in the 75 division for sure.
I like his style. There's some Eastern European influence there, obviously, with him being from Ukraine. I was kind of thinking the first two big names that kind of came to my head, a little bit of Triple G, a little bit of Bivol. Now, let me explain what I mean there. So the Bivol aspect, not every punch has to be a power punch. We're setting things up. We're throwing jabs, nice and fluid. That reminded me of Bivol offensively. Yeah. He doesn't bounce in and out on his toes a lot like Bivol does. Bivol does that nice check hook on his toes where he can bounce out of range. So it's a little different than that. And that's where I kind of maybe think of Golovkin a little bit, where maybe he stays a little more flat-footed, but he uses subtle defense. So he's using subtle slips, blocks, parries. But yeah, I really like his style, and he looked great last night. He actually sparred with Canelo when Canelo was preparing for Bivol. He doesn't have that on your toes, in and out style per se. He has some subtle defense, which is cool. He kind of I'm comparing. I don't know. It's like he almost has that similar subtle, underrated defense, like prime Triple G. He just barely slip shots, so block shots, but he kind of has the activity of a Bivol. So like they're not all power shots. He's touching you, he's slipping, touching you, slipping, countering. He's not loading up big shots constantly. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good.
Then in the co-main, we had Julio Cesar Martinez. I really think that kid is always fun to watch. Unorthodox style, but man, he comes down and just walks you down, throwing bombs. He has some interesting tells and throws some wide shots. So you think he wouldn't be as successful as he is. So I don't know if he's just throwing with a ton of power or if he has that aura about him, but a lot of guys in the ring with him kind of fold under that pressure.
Yeah. Well, you know how it is too, man. Like whenever you get in there and you kind of spar with a guy that has an unorthodox style or someone is just maybe just new to the game or whatever, that throws you off a lot. You know what I mean? So, and some guys, obviously they take a few rounds and they can recover from that. Like Gervonta did with the Rolly Romero fight. He struggled a little bit in the beginning. You know how Tank always kind of starts slow, but it took him a minute to download that weird style that Romero has. And he took it and ran with it. And I think that some guys just never recover. And that's maybe why he does so well.
Yeah, he got a late stoppage, 11th round, I believe. The first half of the fight, he was still figuring it out, kind of a slow start. Batista did pretty good dealing with the pressure. But yeah, like many fights in the past, he kind of turns it on the second half of the fight and got
Yeah.
his guy out of there.
I don't know if you noticed this last night or not, but I did when they I can't remember which round it was coming out of. It was one of the later rounds. They got to their corner, bell rang. They got to both of their corners or whatever, and they actually looked at the replay earlier in that round. There was a what was called an accidental slip, but they actually overturned it and turned it into a knockdown. And this is like the first instance in boxing that I've really seen where they've used like NFL style instant replay and gone back and changed the call. Um, Literally, like as they were coming back into the next round from their corners, they, the ref stopped the bout for a minute, went around to each judge and told them, "Hey, that accidental slip is now counting as a knockdown." And someone said, I think it might have been Chris Mannix on the broadcast. He said that it was actually the president of the WBC that went around and watched the replay and advocated for that to be changed, which I thought was kind of interesting because I figured that'd be up to the athletic commission maybe as opposed to the sanctioning body, but I don't know, maybe that's a weird rule, international rule in Mexico or something like that we don't know about. But personally, I've never seen it in any kind of bout, and the announcers were very surprised too that they had never seen anything like that either. So we might have witnessed a little bit of boxing history last night.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it was the correct call, but just unconventional, kind of a first. Yeah, on how we got there. So,
right.
At least in a lot of people's minds, it was corrected and it was the right call. That should have been a knockdown. But yeah, the replay was a new wrinkle for us.
I think that is kind of. I'm glad they got the correct call, but it almost makes me wonder if it's going to open up a can of worms where they start doing that more often. And I just don't know what that could mean. Like, what if down the road it's not the right call and they change it? You know what I mean? So, just kind of interested in what, like you said, the ripple effect of that would be. Is that going to be happening more often? Is that just kind of a fluke thing? But just something to keep your eye on, I guess, and kind of a cool little wrinkle in the game that we just watched.
That brings us to the main event, Canelo versus John Ryder. What do you think?
There's a lot to it. I think there's a lot to it. So a lot of people are kind of giving Canelo a little grief for not getting Ryder out of there, but I think we witnessed a dogfight last night. We watched Ryder come out, and he looked good. He looked healthy, stocky. It was almost like Canelo was almost fighting a mirror image a little bit. I was interested to see how small the ring was. I didn't realize they agreed on, I believe, an 18-foot ring. So a lot of people thought that Canelo was maybe not as sharp as he normally is, but I think more than anything that he just didn't have the room to move around like he normally does, right? So we're used to seeing that Danny Jacobs style Canelo, slipping, punching, pulling, rolling, the whole 9 yards. But I think that there wasn't a lot of room for that in that ring, and it ended up turning into both guys kind of pressing each other. And I think that John Ryder had some really good angles, and I watched a few videos of him in the past, highlights and whatnot, but leading up to the fight. But I didn't realize how well he placed in those southpaw angles, and some of them are very so now I don't really want to say unorthodox, but like not very commonly used. Like we noticed a lot that Ryder was resting his head on the outside of Canelo's rear hand and slipping in that rear uppercut over and over again. And Canelo was eating that rear uppercut all night. I mean, he was landing that at will. And I think that I don't think it's necessarily as much of Canelo being over the hill or Canelo not looking as sharp as I think that's just something he didn't see coming. And Ryder found a hole in the game and he used that over and over again. I think Ryder breaking his nose in the second round. I watched the post-fight interview and Ryder pretty much, he came out and said he believed it's broken. And he said that there was a lot of blood going down his throat and couldn't breathe through his nose. So he said that definitely hindered him for a couple rounds, but he was able to power through it. So Yeah, I'm interested to see what's next for both of those guys. What do you think?
It was really cool to see John Ryder overcome those early injuries and almost get stronger or more dangerous in the second half of the fight.
He
Uh,
got better.
yeah, there was a spot, I believe it was like the sixth round, seventh round, something. So he had a couple rounds to kind of recover from the knockdown,
Yeah,
and he got hurt again.
yeah,
Canelo kind of wobbled him, but instead of kind of folding in the moment, he became more dangerous and he was landing big hooks on Canelo. And I mean, I was almost up out of my seat rooting for the guy.
yeah,
I already liked John Ryder. I was already a fan. But man, he really solidified it last night with he showed a lot of heart, a lot of gut and grit. But yeah, there's a few different things that come to mind. Like, in boxing, they say you're only as good as your last performance. And, you know, Canelo was a little flat footed and underwhelming with Bivol, understandably. And then last night, it seemed like was getting hit a lot more often. If you were to compare him to 2019, 2021, whatever, Canelo, I feel like you said, the head movement wasn't there that we're used to. It just felt like he was getting touched quite a bit. And, I think that lends itself to say, hey, is something going on here? Are we seeing Canelo age in front of us?
yeah.
Or did they kind of underestimate John Ryder? Did they not prepare for that? I'm curious to see what's next for Canelo and how he looks. And I'm not taking anything away from John Ryder. He's a tough guy and all that, but yeah, like you said, with those rear uppercuts landing basically at will, a lot of hooks were landing. It was just weird to see Canelo get touched up so much throughout the entire fight.
Yeah. I think, like you said, it could be any mixture of any of those things, really. I don't think Canelo's over the hill necessarily. Like a lot of people, I've been seeing boxing media already just ripping him,
Mhm.
being like, "Oh, Canelo's finally over the hill. We're watching Canelo, um, you know, slide down that slippery slope of age." But I don't think it's that. I think too, a big thing that we totally forgot about. He had hand surgery. He's coming out of hand surgery. That definitely, if it doesn't cause like physical pain, like it definitely causes like a little bit of mental where you're like, is my hand going to be the same as it was before? That goes for anything that's been surgically repaired. You never know how you're going to bounce back. And you could tell in the early fight, he mentioned it, and now I look back at it, I can see where he was like touching real light, being very cautious, I guess, if you will, with his punches, just not sure, like probably not sure how it was gonna feel when he landed it with full power for the first time. You know what I mean, on somebody. So that was probably a big thing, and um, I think Ryder just needs his flowers, and I think Ryder is only going to move up from here. I think that he's going to get bigger fights if he chooses to go that route. I'm not sure like what would they have lined up for him, but I think that he showed that he is a world class fighter and he can hang in there with obviously the best of them.
So all that is to say, all the speculation, all the critique of Canelo, he got the win. You know,
Yeah,
no one can
you
argue. Yeah. Now, would I give him every single round like one of the judges did? No.
yeah,
But he
when
won
I heard that
convincingly.
part, I was like,
But yeah, he
yeah,
won convincingly. So we can't we can't rain on his parade too much. I mean, he got the win decisively, and his sights are set on Bivol next. So we'll see if that comes in Mexican Independence Day weekend in September.
interesting about that too. And I wanted to ask you about this. So Canelo wants it exactly the same as he did last time. He wants 175 for the same belts, same stipulations, all that stuff. And Bivol has recently tweeted out and put out on his social media that he wants to go 168. He goes, "I'll meet you at your playground for all the belts, for all the gold." What do you think about that? I mean, I think that I don't know. I don't even know what to think really. Like, I mean, I know Canelo in his mind, he's like, I want it to be exactly the same so I can redeem myself. But hey, both those guys at 168 would be interesting. What do you think?
I could see it. I could see both sides. So, I could see Canelo's pride, just trying to right that wrong, try to redeem himself, try to avenge that loss at 175, going for greatness. I could see that.
Yeah.
And then you could argue that, hey, he doesn't want to give up his belts. He worked hard to get all those belts at 168, and maybe he doesn't want to give them up to Bivol. But then you can see Bivol's side of the story too. Yeah, I beat you at 175, but I want your belts. I was previously at 168, so I could still make the weight if I wanted to. And yeah, I could beat you at my weight. I could beat you at your weight. You're a small guy. I mean, honestly, Canelo has no real business being at light heavyweight, being 5'8". So yeah, I see both sides of the argument. For principle's sake, I kind of side with Canelo. You're like, hey man, let me run it back. No excuses, no weight drain talk, no nothing. Like, let me get you at your best.
Who do you think wins at 68?
I think Canelo has more of a shot at 68, but I think it's a tough fight no matter what.
Yeah,
I
I think so.
think, again, just predictions. I think if they run it back at 75, it looks pretty similar to the first fight. 168, maybe we have a little bit of weight drain problems or fatigue from Bivol, maybe. That could benefit Canelo at 68. But regardless, man, Bivol, he's big, he's long, he has great distance control, great jab, great lead hand in general. So I think he's a problem.
I think 68 ends up being a better business decision for both guys too, though, because, well, I guess more Bivol than Canelo, because all the stuff going on right now with the WBC not sanctioning any fights with Beterbiev, and all that kind of messiness going on in boxing politics right now, to where Bivol wants to be undisputed. That's his goal. That's most fighters' goal in whatever division they're in. So with Beterbiev having 3 of those belts, it's not like he can go around and collect any more belts or anything like that. So he's kind of stuck with that 175 belt that he has. And maybe in his mind, he's going, I don't know when I'm going to be able to make it undisputed with Beterbiev. Let's try to do the 68 with Canelo. And if I fail, oh, well, I'm not even in my weight class. Kind of the same concept as when Canelo lost and he got a little bit of grace because they're like, dude, he just moved up a weight class, So I think might be smart for Bivol to go ahead and give it a shot at 68 if he can. And you can slap an undisputed sticker on it, and it becomes way more of a trophy fight. Make a little more cash on the side for it. I mean, I don't see, the issue with it besides Canelo's, I don't want to say ego, but Canelo's, redemption tour that he's kind of trying to get back on. So
I think in general, if you would ask the majority of boxing fans, they would say, leave it be. We want Canelo Benavidez and we want Bivol Beterbiev, but you can't always get what you want.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this sport. You never get what you want half the time. What can we say? What's going on, y'all? Thank y'all for tuning in to the podcast so far. Just want to take a minute to shout out our sponsor, Young Winston. They sent us these awesome hoodies. They sent us a little bit of other gear. Got this wallet. I think it's great. I love it. I actually switched my own wallet and use this. Really easy to use, sleek, nice, easy in and out of your pocket. Pull your cards out easy. I love it. They also have things like old wrist chains. They have a backpack that I also use. It's got a very, very nice, convenient USB port so you can charge your laptop and stuff. It's great. Sleek, durable leather. Love it. They gave us a discount code LTR5 for 5% off the entire site, whatever you want. Let's get back into the podcast, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
We had the pleasure of speaking with Shamara Pure Perfection Woods this week as she prepares for her second professional bout in Orlando, Florida, this Friday, May 12th. We're going to leave links in the description where you can stream the fight, where you can find her on social media. Also, CBS Sportsnet will be airing her fight Saturday, 6:30 p.m. So definitely check that out. Yeah, we wish her all the best, and we look forward to following her boxing journey.
Also, she's getting nominated for the Muscle and Fitness magazine page. We're going to drop a link below where you can vote for her. Give her a quick vote. Doesn't take but a second to do it. And hopefully we're going to be able to have a good chance to sit down with her and have a full-on interview very soon. Upcoming fight dates we got coming. We got on the 13th, next Saturday, we got a top ranked card. It's Janabek versus Butler. It's going to be a good card. Quite a few young, talented fighters on the undercard. We got 2 out of the 3 Vargas brothers, Fernando Vargas Jr. and Amado Vargas. They'll be on there. And then I believe the third Vargas brother, Emiliano, he fights down the road a little bit on the Haney Loma card on the 20th, which is, I would say, the next big one that's coming up. So we're not going to go too deep into that just because I'm sure the next couple of weeks we're going to be digging some deep analysis on that. But that's coming just a little under 2 weeks. We had a new fight date announcement from Top Rank in Toledo, Ohio. I believe the main event is going to be Jared Anderson. They haven't dropped a official opponent yet, but I believe that they're going to be coming out with that pretty soon. So Jared Big Baby Anderson, heavyweight, kind of trying to crawl up the ranks there. He's going to head that up. And I think they're actually going to have quite a few of those top rank Olympic guys, that kind of the little group of the 2020 Olympians. They'll probably be on there. I know for a fact Delonte Tiger Johnson is going to be on there. They're waiting for him to announce his opponent also. But I wouldn't be surprised if they pop in like Richard Torres and maybe even Troy Isley, like a few of those guys. Keyshawn Davis, maybe even they might pop him on there as a co-main or something. So it is cool to see like Top Rank recruited all those guys, and they're really doing a good job of like they all have like a rapport, you know, and they're all cool with each other, and they make really interesting like press conferences and stuff like that because there's a bunch of young kids like coming up. I know they like there's no like real full-on bond in boxing because it's like you might end up having to face somebody down the road or whatever, but it is cool to see a little bit of camaraderie with those guys. So we don't want to get crazy deep into rumors on this show, but I did have a chance to watch the PBC podcast this week, and it's a Premier Boxing Champions official podcast that they put out, and they had Demetrius Andrade on there, and he was talking about possibly working on a fight with Jermall Charlo coming up this possibly this summer. I know Jermall, he has to fight by, I want to say July in order to retain his belt at 160, but he's also been talking about moving up to 68. So I believe with Andre just moving up to 68, that maybe that might just push Charlo to move up and go to 68, or maybe he decides to go a different route, defend his belt. But I just, they were talking about their teams are in talks right now, working something out with that. Jaron Ennis just said that he's in camp right now. He hasn't put out an official opponent or a date yet, so that might be coming up here pretty quick, Lord willing. And I know that we're kind of sick of hearing about Terrence Crawford and and Spence, but I was reading off of Mike Coppinger's page the other day that he was saying that they have a potential target date for the 22nd or the 29th of July. So just keep your eye on that. We all know, like, I'm not going to believe it till the ring walks happen, but you never know. And it's just kind of cool to see a possible lead up to that. They're just, they're trying to finalize some deals and whatnot. So all the fun paperwork stuff. But other than that, man, just enjoying the scene right now. We got some big fights coming up out of Haney and Loma, and so that's kind of what we're looking forward to next.
Awesome. Yeah, and just to wrap it up, put a little bow on top, I do want to remind you guys of Shamara Pure Perfection Woods, her second professional fight down in Orlando this weekend. So we'll leave all the links in the description. If you're unable to stream it Fight Night, CBS Sports Network is airing it the next day, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. So go ahead and tune into that. We'll also leave a link in the description so you can go vote for her spot in the Muscle and Fitness Women's Magazine. Show this girl some love. I'm really excited to see her and what's in store for her journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll drop a link to all of her socials down below too. So if you want to go follow her, hit her up on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you use. I believe she's on just about all of them. So go show her some love, and we're hoping to have a full-time interview with her right down the road. So
Awesome. Well, that's another one in the books. Thank you so much for your time, Justin, and we'll see you next week.